Did you know there are over 300 companies selling e-bikes in the US? We are spoiled for choice, and it can be overwhelming. Since 2021, I've explored hundreds of e-bikes and produced detailed reviews on more than I can count. I've learned how e-bikes are manufactured at factories, sat down for extended interviews with CEOs and policymakers, learned about retail and service with many e-bikes, and ridden e-bikes all over the USA with hundreds of viewers on our GoElectric group rides. My personal insight combined with everything I've learned from viewers in person and in the comments section have helped me to develop a strong sense for what constitutes a competitive e-bike. In fact, several of the leading manufacturers told me they've made improvements to their e-bikes and helmets based on my critiques. Now I'm putting the experience to work, making sense of it all for you with this GoElectric e-bike buying guide. I'll show you how to identify the best e-bike for your needs and budget. We'll talk about the major players as well as brands and styles you may not have discovered on your own. Welcome to the GoElectric e-bike buying guide series.
Hey everyone, Miss GoElectric here. If you're looking for an electric bike to exclusively ride around in the city, then you'll probably want to explore something that looks like these. These are all the city or urban electric bikes that I have reviewed, but they all have three major characteristics. One is that they have a rigid front fork. Two is they have a narrower tire, which is 2 inches or less, and they tend to be lightweight. All of this is in the name of agility and efficiency. But there's a lot more to learn about city or urban electric bikes, and so let's get into that today. This is the Propella 7S, which is a good example of an entry-level city bike. And the reason for that is because this is a really lightweight bike. It's under 40 pounds. It has a very small frame, a small battery, and really narrow tires, which all contributes to that. I say entry-level because these are listed around $1,200, but I've seen them on sale under $1,000. And how do they do that? Well, mechanical brakes. It also comes with a lot less standard features, so no integrated lights, no fenders, no rear rack, but as you can see, I've added those onto this one as accessories. This is a 350 watt motor, which is really common in this segment. This bike does not have a throttle, and it can travel up to 20 miles per hour with that assist from the motor. That means this is a class 1 e-bike, which you can take those on pretty much any kind of trail or anywhere a bicycle can go, so you don't have to worry about the regulations. Now, like I said, this is the entry level, and there are a lot more options to choose from, so let's move on to the other bikes. This one here is the Propella 9S. Now, 9 because it has 9 gears, whereas the 7S had 7. This also has hydraulic brakes, and it has a wider tire, which is going to be great and compatible for more gravel type of trails. It also includes fenders on this bike and a little bit bigger of a battery pack. So a little bit more in the $1,500 price range for the next few bikes that we go over. This is the Aventon Pace. One of the big differences you'll notice about this bike is that it has a handlebar that sweeps back towards the rider, giving you a more upright riding position. But this bike includes integrated lights in the front and actually 2 of them built into the frame in the back here. This also has a wider tire just like the 9S, and it's good for going on those gravel paths, and a really nice step-through design, which is the first time we've seen this introduced in this category. This bike also has a throttle, so technically this is a class 2, meaning that not only can you pedal and have the motor assist you up to 20 miles per hour with the pedal assist, but also using the throttle will take you up to 20 miles per hour. Now, let's move on to the next bike, which is the Aventon Soltera. This is Soltera.2, so the latest generation. And although it's around the same price point, you actually have a torque sensor on this bike, making it a really natural riding feel. It has a throttle as well, just like the Pace, and the integrated lights. A little bit different as far as the shifting mechanism. These are mechanical brakes, and just note that I have included some of the accessories on here, like the front basket and the rear rack, and those are options that you can add on. But one really unique feature about the integrated lights on the Soltera.2 is that it has turn signals, and they're a really nice bright amber color, so you can see them even in bright daylight. All right, next we're gonna move on to the Velotric T1ST. Now, this bike looks very simple. It has an integrated battery in the frame, which means that if you want to charge every night and bring your battery inside, you can't necessarily do that with this one. If you do need to maintain it, you still have access to be able to pull it out, but ultimately, this bike has an integrated battery. You'll notice that there is a mount here, so there's no computer screen. You'll be able to put a little sticky pad on the back of your phone and mount it on here whenever you want to ride so you can track it on your favorite apps. But you'll also notice that this bike has hydraulic brakes, some really nice components. They're name brand by Tektro, a good sized tire that has a really efficient tread. This bike is also really lightweight. I believe it's about 36 pounds or so, and it has a torque sensor, so again, making it a really natural riding feel. Next, let's move on to the Vanpowers City Vanture. This actually has a belt drive. There's no shifting. It is a very simple machine, but it's extremely quiet. You'll also notice this does have hydraulic brakes, a little bit more thin tire, so a really efficient bike. This has an integrated battery, so if you want to be able to take it inside to charge it, you can't. And it has a cadence sensor, so unlike the last couple of bikes, the power is not going to be as smooth when it comes to delivery. Let's move on to the Vela 2. It is a retro-styled e-bike that is actually built in the city of Detroit, Michigan. It's a steel frame, and although it doesn't look like it is high-tech, this is probably one of the most high-tech bikes that I have. It doesn't even have a power button, but you can connect up your phone with their app, and you can use it to not only location track, you can also adjust the different assist modes. It has a gyroscope in it, so if you are riding up hills, it'll automatically detect when it needs to give you more power. It is the first bike that has a USB port to be able to connect up your phone and charge it while you are riding. This also has integrated lights in the front and the rear, but you may notice the cantilever brakes here, which are not as effective as a traditional mechanical brake with discs and hydraulic brakes. Now, I could talk about this Vela 2 for a really long time, but let's move on to the next one, which is also a really super sleeper high-tech bike. This is the Velotric T1. This bike doesn't have a computer screen, similar to not only the last bike, but also its younger sibling, the T1ST, but this has a ton of tech. It's a fingerprint reader right here on the top tube that will allow you to gain access to your bike. You also have the ability to connect up on the app once again and mount it right here on the handlebars and use it to location track. It also has a security system to be able to alert you, and that way, if someone tries to steal your bike, you get those notifications and you'll be able to go out and find it. Speaking of security systems, let's move on to the next bike. The Wing Freedom ST has an alarm system, so it comes with a fob where you can set an alarm to go off if anyone tries to move your bike, and it has a really loud sound that plays. This does have a throttle and a really nice step-through design, but again, you'll notice those really skinny tires. It has integrated lights and fenders. And speaking of including everything, our final bike in the lineup here, this bike has a 500-watt mid-drive motor, and it includes a torque sensor. So it's going to be a lot of power, but it's also going to be really efficient. This bike has really high quality components. You'll notice the Tektro hydraulic brakes. It also has the Shimano Dior shifting mechanism, Bafang motor, and computer set. This has handlebars that come back towards the rider as well, but it also has an adjustable stem here. Included fenders, rear rack, basket, a nice front suspension actually, which is not typically what we see in this category, but considering this has a really thin tire, that's why I still leave it in this segment. It does not have a throttle either, so this is considered a Class 1. So as you can see, at about $2,700 all the way down to about $1,000, there are a ton of options to choose from when you're looking at a city or urban electric bike. I hope this video was helpful for you to be able to know what to expect when you're shopping for a city electric bike. I'll put the links in the description below on the bikes that I have talked about here today. But until next time, drive, fly, ride. Go electric.